If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, wherever you are at, and welcome to Neely Fuller's compensatory code show, heard right here as we have started to make sure that we get this message out. I am Mr. Bobby, and with me is Gate, who will be running all the boards. But as we normally try to do, got some housekeeping items that I'm supposed to tell you about. So here we go. You can support and promote the show by hitting the like button and then the share button. Now, to watch the show live, you can go to YouTube at Produce Justice, Facebook and Instagram at Produce Justice, Neely Fuller Jr., and you can also watch the show live at producejustice.com. Now, a replay of the show is available immediately on all platforms. To get on the show, to share your thoughts, click the link in the feed and you'll be prompted on what to do next. And to contact us off the air, send your questions or comments to contact@producejustice.com. They will be answered, by the way. Now, you can order the books. All you have to go to is producejustice.com. The book is the Compensatory Code System Concept by Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. All 3 books are in, and I understand that they are moving at a pretty good clip, so that's good. But make sure you do that, and make sure that you share that information. And if you really want to talk, Gate has it set up, and in fact, we invite you to be a participant in that area because your comments or questions actually make the show much, much better than just my opinion or as Gate would say, my take or your take or his take or whatever. Your take is important so that we can keep the Mr. Fuller's concept alive. We're not trying to replace Fuller. We're just trying to keep his legacy going on. And with that, I'm going to introduce Gate. Gate, how are you this morning, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. I'm still learning. Get rid of this echo. I'm still learning, and like you said, Mr. Bobby, we're not here to replace Mr. Fuller. We are here to keep his legacy alive. So that's the exact opposite of trying to replace him. And if you're not familiar with the show, this is how it works. We get on here, we talk, we go through Mr. Fuller's works, his words, his books, his recordings. And for the record, Mr. Fuller's recordings, his books are all part of Mr. Fuller's code. They're inseparable. And we're not here to replace him. As a matter of fact, this is not my show or Mr. Bobby's show. This is your show as well. So if you don't like what the show is doing or the direction it's going, join the conversation. We'd love to have your take. We'd love to have your input because I'm just going to put a blanket statement out here. Everything I say is VGQ. So you don't have to write me and say, well, that's not what Mr. Fuller said or what he thought. It's not that kind of party. I am giving my opinion. Mr. Fuller wants us to be logical and thinkers and not cult followers. So that's what we're doing here on this show. I mean, if you want somebody to just sit here and read his books, that's not, let's go to another show. This is not it. We are here to engage you, to speak, thought, speech, and action. We try to put out some calls to action so we can go out here and do something instead of just sitting here talking. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to go back to school. We're going to talk about the code. One of the main components of the code is the 9 areas of people activity. And are those 9 areas of activity under attack? Let me just ask you that again. I feel that the 9 areas of activity are under attack, particularly when it comes to non-white people and the Black community. And I'm going to go even further and say, sometimes I feel like the president, Donald Trump, is the antithesis of justice. He's the embodiment of injustice. And I'm going to give you examples. But before we do that, we're going to go back to school today and visit these 9 areas of people activity. If you are new to the show, if you are an ardent listener, you've been around for a while, you need to know about the 9 areas of people activity. When we open up the show, we play a clip of what Mr. Fuller's definition of what justice is. He talks about making sure nobody is mistreated and making sure that those who need help get the most help, most constructive help. But we're going to go back to school today and talk about the 9 areas of activity. And one thing when it comes to logic, you have to be familiar with context. Context means when Mr. Fuller wrote these books, it was 1984. That was 41 years ago. And he has layered on some context over the past 40 years. And that's where his radio broadcasts have come in. And if you're not sure, go to producejustice.com, and we have the last 5 years of his broadcast right on the show. So you don't have to worry about me misquoting him. You can't say, well, did he really say that? Go back to the show. And we play the show. We play the clips right here on the show, Mr. Fuller's own words. Sometimes we get some video challenges. And we got a little overcast today. Sometimes when the sun is not out and there's clouds in the sky, it does cause the transmission sometimes to drag. And I hope that doesn't happen today. But if it does, we're going to persevere. So we're going to start out the show by going over one of the hallmarks of Mr. Fuller's Counter-Racist Code show, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah. Before you do that, Gate, on our last show, not last week, but week before last, you talked about business. Remember?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What was the title of it? I don't have it written down here, but
last show we talked about this is being Black Business Month, and that why we have things we have to do to support Black businesses and how Black businesses are under attack, just like right now, the 9 areas of activity under attack, and Black businesses do fall under economics.
Yes. Well, I discovered an article that I wanted to relate before we get into the core of the subject today. And,
Please.
Okay, thank you. It was from March the 17th, 1888. The Pennsylvania newspaper called the Mercury published an expose on human urban legend that wasn't a legend, and what it had to do with that Black people the racists were making leather from human skin, Black people, and exposed it a horrific short-lived practice that victimized Black people. That Black people have been disappearing and like what happened down in Atlanta and body parts being sold in different kind of experiments other than the Tuskegee experiment. But it says here, in cities like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, white residents would use the skin of Black people to make shoes, slippers, cigar cases, and more. What is even worse was the pride that people took in wearing and using these items. An unnamed but prominent Philadelphia physician interviewed by the Mercury insisted that the, quote, the tanned hide of an African makes the most enduring and most applicable leather known to man. See, we're looked at, and going to the business that you spoke about 2 weeks ago, we're looked at as a commodity to them. And see, we don't know this, but this is why I always try to find items and articles that have not been exposed, so that we can understand what we are in this community in terms of business, not for ourselves and for them. Go ahead, Gay. I just wanted to get that out there.
Man, you have me. What's the young people use that acronym SHM? What is it? SMH or shaking my head.
Oh, shaking your head. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that should remind everybody what you're up against. Some people are under an illusion that everything is going to be all right. We go out here, we post a few posts online, we sing a little Kumbaya, go march in the street for a day or two, then go back to business as usual. While the white supremacists are they're at it nonstop. They're full time. We're doing it as a side hustle. That's not going to work. The math does math. So what we're going to talk about today is one of the foundational aspects of the code, the 9 areas of people activity. When it applies to non-white people, it's under attack. So if you're sitting around and wondering what's going on, and you're wondering how things are doing as a community, you look at the 9 areas. And if you're not sure, go to the website. We have the 9 areas on the website. If you're not sure, get the book. Go to producejustice.com. We're not here today to waste your time or to play around. I have better things to do than to waste anybody's time or to waste my time. I'm here because Mr. Fuller laid down a code. He laid down a pathway. He laid down a way to get it done. He said a code works. That's why you do a code. The white supremacists have a code. So we need a code too. The problem is, though, they're following their code. They're following their code night and day. They're sitting around nonstop thinking of ways to make the system of white supremacy stronger. While we're out boasting and bragging and acting all kind of ways that, I'm not saying everybody, but some. So what I'm here today, try to do today, is to bring us back into focus by starting out looking at these 9 areas of activity and how they have almost went through the 9 areas, cherry picked them and taking them one at a time and breaking them down. So first, let me remind you of what those 9 areas of activity are. So hold on, let me get you Mr. Word, so you don't say I'm trying to misquote Mr. Fuller or co-opt him. Don't give me any more of those emails. I'm tired. Sorry. I'm going to put his exact words on the screen. So hang on.
Connected according to the code, all areas of.
Okay, that didn't go well. Well, let me just first of all, let me go ahead. Hold on, Mr. Bob. Let me get you up here.
Yeah,
Good, Mr. Bobby.
Just simply put, I know you were going to have Fuller do it, but it's also at the top of the book, or at the top of every program, even this one that he did today. He said that if you don't understand racism, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you in what? Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Those 9 areas. He said it. And I know you were trying to get him, on the tape to say, but those are the 9 areas. Those are the 9 areas that he had spoken about. Go ahead, Gabe.
And you're exactly right, Mr. Bobby. We have to remember those 9 areas when we're looking at what we're up against. I'll try to get Mr. Fuller's words back up in a second, but in the meantime, let me do this. As I stated earlier, we are under attack in all areas of the people activity. And I've just also made a statement. I'm going to put it out here as a question. Is the president of the United States the antithesis of justice? Or can I put it another way? Is he the embodiment of injustice? So we go back to school, we go back to the 9 areas of activity. Let me tell you what happened here. Back in, many of you all may remember during the election, everybody was talking about this Project 25. And then we've seen some of the things that were in Project 25 codified during the big, beautiful bill. Now, some people are going to say, well, I'm doing okay. The bill did all right by me. I can buy a house now. I'm not taxed on my tips. I'm getting a tax break in certain areas. Life is good. Well, that's one of the tricks of the white supremacists. They like to confuse you. They throw you a little something out there and get everybody all confused and say, well, shoot, what are these people talking about? I'm doing okay. Okay, you're doing okay. But is that worth children going hungry? Is that worth grandma losing her Medicaid? Is that grounds for the over policing and sending the military into our cities? Are you selling your soul for what is it, 13 pieces of silver? No, you can't just look at how things impact you. You are not the system. You are up against a system that's hell bent on administering injustice and white supremacy. So let's talk about these areas of nine areas of activity. I'm going to take a few of them. Matter of fact, I'm just going to look at this Project 25 and some of these things that have been encoded into law. Well, first thing we're seeing is, which was part of Project 25, was the disenfranchisement of non-white people. We are seeing in real time gerrymandering taking place. Now, this was all in Project 25. Redistricting to dilute the efforts, the votes, the representation in predominantly minority districts, leading to underrepresentation in legislators. This is happening right now. This is an attack on the 9 areas of activity. This is politics. We're seeing in real time voter suppression tactics, strict ID laws, and all other kind of things thrown in the way to make sure it's difficult for people to vote. This is an attack on the 9 areas of activity. We are seeing in real time criminalization and over-policing of blacks. We're seeing an attack on cities that are led by blacks, and most recently led by black women, Karen Bass, Muriel Bowser in Washington, D.C. They have sent in the actual military into these cities. Of course, they're going to come up with a reason. Oh, it's the immigrants. Oh, it's the crime in Washington, D.C. No, this is part of Project 25. This is an attack on the 9 areas of activity. And there are going to be future attacks on other black-run, predominantly black cities. Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, but now what I want to say is this, Gate. Since you're in D.C., you have personal knowledge of it, and in those 9 areas, war and counter war is what Mr. Fuller talked about. You are there. Before we take a call or get a chat in, since you're there, can you be an reporter on scene and tell us what really is, other than the news? Because a lot of the news is jaded now, and we really don't know if it's true or not true. But you're there, and you're not lying. What's going on there, that you have seen, because you're there?
First of all, there is no crime wave. There is no surge in crime that requires or mandates the policing of the city. One guy who was worked for the Doge department got mugged, got beat up pretty bad, which is wrong. But that happens every day. It happens in red states. It happens in blue states. It happens everywhere. So you can always find a reason, a justification, a false reason to send in the military. Right now, you're seeing the arrests that they've actually made, or the crimes, I guess, they've actually stopped. You got a jaywalker here, a speeding person there, somebody homeless here, somebody maybe driving drunk. These are not reasons to send in the military. I can tell you that right now. So this is over policing. Don't be fooled, people. This is called an over policing and criminalization of non-white people. That's it. Raw. There's no way to dress it up. That's the way it is. That's what it's all about. We're also seeing an assault in economics. We're seeing an economic disinvestment, promoting policies that favor the wealthy, and exacerbating economic disparities in communities of color. Things like SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, that will actually harm young people of color if they're not getting the nutrition they need. That's going to feed that prison, that school to prison pipeline. If you can't eat, you're not developing, bad things happen. Then you get fed into the system. A system is going to shoo you out, spit you out, over police you, criminalize you. So they start young. Speaking of economic disinvestment, in the past 3 months alone, over 300,000 Black women have been pushed out of the workforce. This is intentional because they are perceived as a threat. Now, fortunately, many of those sisters have gone out and started businesses, but it's hard to replace that kind of money. In the Washington, D.C. area alone, we've seen 13,000 jobs lost like within the first month of the administration. Speaking of this economic disinvestment, we have DEI that has been basically dismantled. Matter of fact, the president said, our country will be woke no longer. And we know what woke is. That's a code word. That's a code word for Black. That's a code word for non-white. When they say I'm attacking woke, when they're saying I'm attacking CRT, they're saying we're attacking Black people. Don't be fooled. Let's keep going. We're talking about today how Black is under attack, and how this big beautiful bill that has been codified into law, this Project 25, we're seeing an attack on education, actually eliminating the Department of Education, advocating for financing school vouchers, knowing that's going to take away from public education and affect predominantly Black and minority neighborhoods. Not only that, there's a rewriting of Black history, banning of books, whitewashing history. This is an attack on Black. The 9 areas of activity that Mr. Fuller fought up to his last breath is under attack. So don't sit up there and talk about how well you're doing and that you're a follower of Mr. Fuller, and watch his the linchpin of his code, the foundation, is under full attack. We're seeing a cultural messaging. Now, if anybody has studied fascism and racism and mind control, you have to control the message. So there are issues that are divisive, race-laced, promoting stereotypes, misinformation that further alienate people of color from the political process. We're seeing an attack on the media and anyone who's a truth teller. We're even seeing an attack on the Smithsonian Institution. The Smithsonian Institute, over where the Black Cultural Arts Museum is located. There is an attack on that. Mr. Bobby. Hold on, Mr. Bobby. Hold on. Let me get you in here.
Yeah, I'm noticing that what do people in the chat have to say about it? I'm noticing there are 3 people in the chat. Is there any comment on it?
What we're going to do better than that, Mr. We're going to bring in Nicolette.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring in some folks who are over here on the chat. So hang on.
Hello.
Nicolette, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. Before I jump in today, I had something to say from last week's conversation. It's a snippet from Dr. Wilson's book, Keys to the Color, and it's therefore the self-respecting task of Blacks and all other non-whites to understand the war and the behavior dynamic of white supremacy in which they are presently trapped. Through this understanding, we must evolve our own behavior in all areas of people activity that will eventually checkmate this global white supremacy, necessity, and injustice. And then I wanted to add that through my life work of issues that I address, one of the issues that I have addressed recently is going to the school board and asking them for an intermediate class for motorcycle license for high schoolers so that it would combat the perception of the police to youth, as well as asking for conservation curriculums to implement and to teach constitutional rights through hunting and fishing the proper way versus defense ego weaponizations that kids see through that. So I just wanted to state that on August the 12th, it was so important about the depiction of whites seen as problem solvers on TVs and blacks always not being able to solve a problem or being able to provide enough, which at this point, again, it has been my mission to use my life as research to solve a lot of the problems, which bring us to today. I have a homeboy that did the same thing, took some pictures and sent it back home to what was on live and was showing them that it wasn't a lot of military walking around DC. And he was saying the same thing, that, you know, you have to get out and look at it for yourself instead of looking at TV with people telling you something, and that this is the time to make a move. So I guess I use that analysis as a checkboard because that's what Dr. Wilson was saying. You have to strategize and look at a way to checkmate in a format that's not harming anyone, as Dr. Neely Fuller would say. We have to produce justice and making sure no one is being mistreated, that everybody is guaranteed. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you. My thoughts is kind of everywhere this morning. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nicolette. Thank you. Nicolette always brings it. Mr. Bobby.
No, I was, she been a good point, good points on.
Well, she made a point about reinforcing what I just said about cultural messaging. We really have to pay attention and stay vigilant and stay woke. If you let them control the narrative, what they're going to do, they're going to create division among us. We're going to be so busy fighting each other and nitpicking each other to death while they're getting away with murder. Some cases figuratively and literally. So misinformation. Be on the watch for misinformation 24 hours a day. It's coming at you. Let's look at some of the comments coming in. Jigga says, confusion is one of the main ingredients. Main ingredients. You're exactly right. That is the purpose. Because here's something else I want you to be aware of. Just because you get a little something, okay, that's part of the strategy. You may get a little something here, a little something there. And you might also get confused by the fact, well, shoot, they wouldn't do that because that's going to hurt them too. That's part of the plan. That's the way it works. If you study history, you will always let's look at some of the wars that Mr. Fuller talks about himself. Let's look at a war. You have like some of these wars where they're actually fighting and killing each other. They were sacrificed, like during the Civil War. Almost 500,000 people died in the Civil War. But at the same time, they lost. They were the main ones that lost in the body count. But that does not stop them. That's part of the system. Don't believe because some of them are going to get hurt, because some folks in the red state might get hurt. They don't care about that. They call that just fodder, like the young guys call them mushrooms when you're doing a drive-by. They don't care. That's part of the system. So just because a few of them get hurt, don't think that means, well, I'm going to be safe because they wouldn't do anything to hurt themselves. Yes, they will. And thanks again for your comments. We do we have the link in the feed. By all means, join the conversation. If you want to engage the host, if you want to make a comment, if you want to whatever you want to do, just The link is in the feed. I'm going to drop it in there again. So I just put it in there again. You can click on that link, put your camera on, or you can put up an icon if you want to, if you don't want to show your face. Come on in here and talk to us, engage us. If I'm wrong, come on and tell me. If you don't agree with anything I say, let's hear it. Somebody said, Sack 7 said, black people like crabs in a barrel. And yes, we can be that way sometimes. Let me keep going here because, okay, maybe I'm in a way today. Okay. Because like Mr. Bobby said, I'm right here in the I'm in the belly of the beast. I can drive downtown DC and see the guards on the side of the street. I can see the military vehicles. Luckily, I haven't had to encounter them, but I'm here. I see what's happening. What I haven't seen is this crime wave, this rampant violence. Yeah, a few people. Matter of fact, I think in DC, the crime is down like 30%. Is that a reason to bring in the National Guard because some guy named Big Balls got jacked up? Somebody who worked for Doge, who was scrapping and cutting, and part of the reason all these 300,000 black women are now been displaced from their jobs. Well, Mr. Bobby, let me calm down here.
Yeah, my question to that is, okay, since you're there and they have the National Guard and all that, actually from a few states in this state, I hate to say it, Ohio. Anyway, they send some people over there, but nothing is going on in there. I've heard several people, your take and others from there who have said to me, "There's really nothing going on. There's a little crime, but not enough to justify the National Guard being there." But my question came to mind: where was that during the insurrection on January the 6th? When they went on and did what they did, you know, in the White House and going to kill Mike Pence and Pelosi and all of them. I didn't see any National Guard. Did you? Police officers getting killed? DC police officers getting killed? I didn't see any of that, which would justify a military or somebody being in there. But people in DC aren't doing anything but living. But they're being like being under occupation. Well, like Fuller said, if you don't understand racism, what it is, and how it works, everything else will only confuse you. And that's exactly what they're doing. In addition to Agenda 47, you mentioned Project 25. All this is coming to life right in front of your and my face.
Mr. Bobby, you are 100% right. And you spoke about January 6th. I'm going to go back to the topic of education. Mr. Fuller said, we did a show on education. And Mr. Fuller said, learn what they teach you. Go ahead and learn it. Because when you learn it, you can turn it around and expose their hypocrisy. This is Mr. Fuller's exact words. So he's saying, go ahead and learn it. Turn it back around and expose the hypocrisy. When you look at what happened on January 6th, like you said, Mr. Bobby, if there was ever reason to bring the guards from California, New Mexico, Tennessee, Hawaii, Maryland, Ohio, if there was ever reason to do it, we had it on January 6th. Now, one guy gets jumped in the district. Now we bringing people, we disrupting people's lives, invoking dislocation, confusion. They're just breaking all the rules of the code. That's why we have to stay on code. We're talking about the 9 areas of activity. They're under attack. We have a president who's the embodiment of injustice. Yes, you may get a perk here and there, a benefit, a backdoor benefit, a wink, wink. Now go sit down somewhere and leave me alone while I go out here and take food out of the mouth of babies and kick old ladies off Medicaid and police your cities. And then we have talking about healthcare. Now, health wasn't one of the 9 areas of activity, and many people have called in and questioned why it wasn't health. Mr. Fuller has framed it in different ways on the economics, and one of the things he said in his talks about the 9 areas of activity, the interconnectivity. What affects one thing affects another. What affects politics affects education. What affects education affects war. What affects war may affect law, whatever. So we're going to throw health in here. But one of the things that we are seeing in Project 2025 is healthcare access. Now, you might not take that too seriously because you're walking around well and healthy. And so sometimes you have to bring an old head in like me, kind of make it real for you. When you get up there in age and you find out you can't get Medicaid and Medicare, under Project 2025, about 11.8 million people, healthcare insurance is in jeopardy. And many of those people are going to be people of color, non-white. Now, once again, okay, so some folks in red states going to lose their health care. Well, I mean, that's bad for them. Today, we're talking about white supremacy, how it's impacting our community, and how we're going to make sure that no one is mistreated and that those who need help the most get the most constructive help. Now, we had the energy and the strength and the wherewithal to go and help everybody, but we on laser focus today. We're trying to make sure that this system, which is systemic, it has individual levels, such as personal bias and prejudice. It has institutional levels, such as organizations, and it has systemic level, the interaction between all of the levels. That's what we're up against. It's a system. And I do apologize for not having, I'm going to try again to get Mr. Fuller's words up here. And if it kicks me out, I'm going to come back and you're going to put up with me some more.
About the 10 stops, Mr. Fuller.
Okay, well, we try it again. So what we're doing today, we're looking at the system that we're up against. And if you're not already, go back and look at the books. Mr. Fuller wrote 3 books. He wrote his original book back in 1984, which was 41 years ago. I was still a baby. Wink, wink. Not really. Let's see what Anthony says. Anthony says, we're gonna put some of your comments up here, get you guys involved. Since you won't come on camera, I'm gonna read your words. He said, Muriel Bowser has made many statements against the Trump administration that the over-policing is not supported by the reports of a lower crime rate. That's exactly right. Let me tell you something. Sister Bowser is she's between a rock and a hard place. She has a tough job. If you all think that's easy, let me tell you. So now she's dealing with somebody who's impetulant, childlike, and vindictive, and has the power of all 3 branches of government. He's just itching for her, like this guy on the street said, to buck up, to go swole. So, all right, he's itching for it. Man, that's one fight he'd love to have. He'd love for Muriel Bowser to say, I'm not going to do it. They said, get rid of that Black Lives Matter plaza. Right there was a big old, had yellow writing on the line for the world to see. You look at it from a helicopter, it was a sight for the eyes. That was one of the first things that went. And so she said, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but I guess she said, that's not a hill I'm ready to die on. I'm not going to fight for that plaza. She said we were going to change it anyway. Then here comes the police because one guy gets beat up. And once again, she's got to make these measured responses. But I'm going to tell you this. They don't stop. They don't stop. Black Lives Matter Plaza today, sending in the National Guard tomorrow. Let me tell you, you think that's the end of it? And if you think DC is the only one, I have news for you. That's why I'm bringing you today. For people who are familiar with the code, who are familiar with Mr. Fuller, go back and look at these areas of activity. He put them there for a reason, and watch how they're being dismantled, bastardized, turned upside down, weaponized against our community. Mr. Bobby.
I mean, I'm agreeing completely with you, about that, because we are under attack. I think the thing that bothers me, Gate, is that there appears to be among our people an apathy, if I may say, like they really don't care, or they want things that are going to perish, other than fighting against this system day by day in their own way, or we killing each other and all that kind of stuff, are causing situations that cause us to be against one another, other than against the system, because it is a system, as Mr. Fuller pointed out many times. It's a system. It's a worldwide system that deals with each one of the areas that you had spoken about today, that Fuller had spoke about. All those 9 areas are going on, and they're going on concurrently. They are connected and interconnected. So that makes it very difficult for you to attack one area when there's something else going on in other areas, all at the same time. Gate?
Well, this is what I like to give everybody a call to action.
Yeah.
First thing, I want you to get the books if you can. The other thing I want you to do, stay in tune to this show or shows like it. This show is evolving. I mean, we're doing this on a well, Mr. Fuller passed away. He went to join the ancestors on February 1st of this year. I've been in touch with the family for the past 10 years. I've produced the show for 5 years. Mr. Bobby was co-hosting right alongside Mr. Fuller. And with Mr. Fuller, one of the call to action that he left with us was, don't follow people, follow logic. Now, if you go to our YouTube channel, you will see a piece by Mr. Fuller, about a 5, 6, 7 minute piece, where he drilled down on the fact, don't follow Fuller, don't follow Mr. Bobby, don't follow Gate, don't follow Trump, don't follow Hakeem Jeffries, don't follow anybody. Follow logic. And because if any of these folks that I just named, myself included, had solved this problem, we wouldn't be sitting here. So all ideas and logic are welcome. Don't complain. Do something. Put your idea out here. We are not a dictator here. We're not Jim Jones. We're not a cult. We are logical people. And so when Mr. Fuller wrote these books, he also wrote a word guide in 2010 because he knows the power of words. Another one of his hallmarks was question and answer. So this is another call to action that would have come from Mr. Fuller if he were here, because he said it all the time. Really, you need to go back and listen to the show. Somebody wrote into one of the feeds the other day. So you need to play the shows. The old shows are like 2 hours long. We only here for an hour, so we couldn't possibly play all the shows. But what you can do, go back to the website, producejustice.com, and go to past shows. And you will come to a page that has 5 years of Mr. Fuller speaking about some of the same things we're talking about right now. So we're not making this up. And I've made it a commitment, my own promise, and is that I'm not here to self-promote, to promote my ideology. There are areas where I and Mr. Fuller may disagree. There are some areas, and probably many more areas where we agree. One thing we agree on 100%, absolutely no error between us, is that we like to dismantle this system of white supremacy and replace it with a system of justice. Now, there are several ways to skin a cat. There are several ways to go about it. And your way may be different than mine, Mr. Bobby, or Fuller's. That's why we invite you. Not just to come on here and say, well, I don't agree with you. Come on here. You think this is easy? Come on here and state your piece. We welcome you. Mr. Bobby, let me get you up here.
I was going to say, for those who make those particular comments or comments that may seem like they may be against the show, this is exactly what Fuller wants, that particular dialogue. I think he termed it VGQ. Yeah, talk about it, because that is only going to make what we're doing to get his legacy out. That's only going to make it better. You know, this is not a dictatorship. We need to hear what we're doing right, and we need to hear what we're doing wrong so that we can do it better. I mean, it's as simple as that. We want you to do that. You know, you don't have to necessarily come on camera, but get your comments in. I sent a comment into you this morning from someone. Yeah, get it in there, because it will make it better and expose what's going on, and it will help us to be where we need to be and not against each other, because their plan in that is to use us against each other. Go ahead, Gate.
Well, fortunately, I have a thick skin, and I'll be the first one to say, like Mr. Fuller said, I don't know everything. I really don't. I don't even pretend to. But what I do know is that the best way to make this show better and to dismantle white supremacy sooner is to engage in dialogue. You say your piece, I say my piece. Mr. Fuller saw this coming, and he coined the phrase VGQ, Victims Guaranteed Qualifications. That means everybody has a right. If you are a prisoner of war in this system, everybody's opinion matters. It's valuable. And even those that disagree with me, they could hate my guts. I don't see why anybody would, but I'm just saying, if you do, I still value your opinion. I'd like to hear it. I'm not up here, like I said, I'm not here to promote me. I'm here to promote justice. And sometimes like Mr. Fuller said, sometimes we may get it wrong, or we may not get it the way you want it. But what I do invite you to do is come on here. I put the link up there several times today. Let me hear from you. And some people like Nicolette, Nolan, and Talif, and they've come on here. Dale, they made some very poignant points. And I take my hat off to you. And sometimes people, I tell you what, Mr. Bob, what I discovered is that during the, many people found out through Mr. Fuller, almost like through the underground. His original book was out here. It was almost like a little underground movement. And then I came along and joined the organization, for better or for worse. We brought it more into the digital, and we built the website. We put these shows together and so forth. And so we've introduced Mr. Fuller to a new audience. And so some people that got the book and are hearing this show for the first time, they missed the gap of the shows, the actual shows. And so sometimes we're quoting from the book, and we may layer on some context from what Mr. Fuller actually said. I'm not saying they're contradictory, but sometimes the quote of his actual words has more information. He brought it into a more modern context. And so I would say that sometimes that what you might feel like we are maybe misquoting or misrepresenting, we may be quoting him from his actual podcast because Mr. Fuller, like everybody, evolved and added context to what he wrote in the actual code books. They weren't contradictory. It was just more information, which anytime you add, like if you're working on anything, I'm a technical guy. Once you make one change, it starts affecting everything else. You got to go back and kind of move some things around. And so that's what happens when you start talking about comments from the book versus his words. They are in concert, but when you add more information, sometimes it requires more explaining. He talked about Donald Trump. People called in. Somebody said, is Donald Trump the devil or something along that line? Mr. Fuller said, I don't know. He said, but if you're saying that white supremacy is about deception, I can speak on that, but I can't say somebody's the devil. Somebody also asked him, say, why would the Amish people support Donald Trump? Considering what he stands for, Mr. Fuller once again said, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. So Mr. Fuller was so consistent in his application of his code. He said, if you don't know, what do? Ask questions. That's a foundational aspect of the code. Ask questions. If you don't know, if you have something here you want to talk about and you're not sure, ask questions. Go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
No, I'm agreeing with that completely. We need to ask questions, and like you said, when you're shaping something and you're adding to it, it does change it a bit to fit whatever it is that you're going to stay, yet and still consistent with whatever the main idea is. Because what? Because Fuller said, and it's true, because you have to ask yourself, that we are still learning. Just like we are doing this program, we are still learning how to do it better. We haven't perfected this, and we won't perfect it, but we learn how to do better, and that is in all phases of our lives. We learn to get better, learning how to talk, learning how to speak, learning how to invite people into the conversation or invite them out. It doesn't matter.
You're right. Now, one of the I think it was Act 7 said is 1 hour long enough to engage in dialogue. Well, let me say this. I'm going to say yes, based on this format of the show. And I'm going to jump on the format of the show for a minute because, like I said, it's still a work in progress. We've been doing it less than a year now since Mr. Fuller left us. It'll be a year next March. That's when we actually started doing this new show without Mr. Fuller. But the original show, the Counter-Racist Code show, goes back 5 years. And I was right there for every one of those 5 years. And so I'm not bragging, but I think I probably have a better understanding of what Mr. Fuller felt and thought and believed, and along with Mr. Bobby, than some other people. And I've read the books. Somebody said, well, maybe if you had read the book, you would have known this. Well, sometimes I'm quoting Mr. Fuller from his written word. Sometimes I'm quoting him from his spoken word. And so sometimes he'll say something that's not in the book. It doesn't mean it's contrary, but sometimes it may not be in the book that you read. And so it may look like I'm making things up, but I've actually listened to 5 years of Mr. Fuller talk directly. So can this show be dialogued properly in 1 hour? I would say if we come on this show every week with an agenda, what I've been trying to do, and focus on a problem area. We can't discuss all 3 books in 1 hour. I can tell you that right now. And so that's been another focus of the show, is to take a problem area and let's tackle them one at a time. Today we're talking about is Black under attack, and specifically the 9 areas of activity, and I've given you examples. Another focus area today is Trump the antithesis of justice? In other words, is his goal the strengthening of white supremacy and the dismantling of what little justice we do have? That's a question to put out there. That's not an absolute, because I don't have that kind of power to make that determination. I don't know what's in his mind, just like you don't know what's in my mind. But what Mr. Fuller also used to say, according to the evidence, I'm tending to believe that maybe we do have this attack, and that when I see this militarization, over policing, and criminalization, if you go into a neighborhood with the National Guard and police on every block, you will be criminalized eventually. Either your license is going to be expired, you may have a little beer in the cup holder, you may have a little weed going on, because weed is legal in some areas, but under certain circumstances, if you put military on every corner and police in every neighborhood, eventually you will be criminalized. I mean, my tag expired. I went to DC. I drove through DC, and every time I drove in there, I'd get a ticket. So much to the point one day, my tags were, they took my tags because I was just ignoring it. I became criminalized for something as simple as not paying these tickets. But if you got a police on every corner, let me tell you, unless you are squeaky clean, squeaky, beyond clean, you will be criminalized. But that's the plan. They're not in there because of crime. They're in there because they know that if they hang around long enough, they're going to lock up enough black people to make a difference. That means now you can't vote. I mean, it's part of a big, big plan. It's part of Project 25. It's part of the big, beautiful bill. It's part of the codification of white supremacy. Mr. Bobby.
That they have created that content to make it look like something that it's really not. And it's going on before our eyes right now. So you speak about content creators or content creation. That's what they did to make it look like there's crime in Washington or Los Angeles or any of the other black cities. Even Chicago got mentioned, and maybe even Baltimore, wherever this at. This is what they've done, which means that, well, they could be suspected as being liars.
I see a comment from, I think it's AP. He said, no, it is not VGQ, not compared to the previous shows, and it's also limited to how much can be written in the comment section. I've been listening since 2012, Talktainment. Well, what do you call it, VGQ, ABC, or XYZ? If you have a comment and you want to come on and talk about it, let's talk about it.
Yeah, talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. Comments. We put the link in the feed, and somebody also said they missed Mr. Fuller. Let me make this plain too. I miss Mr. Fuller. I miss Mr. Fuller dearly. I'd rather be behind the scenes like I was for 5 years. I'd rather be saying 5 minutes, Mr. Fuller. I'd say, Mr. Bobby, 5 minutes. This probably would work. We log on into the back end, and I'd set up the show, and I'd say, good morning, Mr. Fuller. And Mr. Fuller say, good morning, sir. And I'd say, good morning, Mr. Bobby. And Mr. Bobby say, good morning. I'd sit there and do the countdown. All right, Mr. Fuller, 30 seconds. I would so much rather be doing that. I'm not here to replace Mr. Fuller. I'm really not. I'm even open to additional hosts. If somebody can come up here and take this seat for me and they can do the job, believe me, I will go back behind the scenes. I have other work I can be doing. This is not what I do for a living. Hate to break somebody's bubble. I'm here to make sure that the message goes on. Simultaneously, I'm here to make sure that we're not just sitting up here talking, that we're doing something. Anybody can read. A child can read, but we need some people with logic to go out here to form this army of logical thinkers to go out here and dismantle this system. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Mr. Bobby. It could be you. Come on, let's do it. I invite you, Mr. Bobby.
That's it. Let's wrap it up. We have to do it the next time because our time is gone.
I did the time go.
ProduceJustice.com.
I don't got all worked up now. I didn't even notice the time had gone. Thank you again for tuning in. This is the Neely Fuller's Counter Racist Code Show. You can also send me a message to contact@producejustice.com. You can write me a book. I will read it. If you want to audition for the show, come on. I'm taking applications. If you have something to add, if you want to come on as a, what do you call it, a special guest or guest host, I will bring you on here. Of course, we gotta run you through the filter. I will bring you on here, and you will sit here through the entire show with Mr. Bobby and myself. I will give you the exact same amount of time and privilege to come here as a guest host. I'm putting this out here today. I want your feedback. I want your dialogue. I am not a dictator. This is not a cult. We are logical thinkers. It takes all of you to make this show a success and to continue Mr. Fuller's legacy. Jigga Jigga, I miss him so much too. I miss Mr. Fuller dearly. I mean, my heart breaks when I think about the many years I would come on here and say, "Good morning, Mr. Fuller." And he would say, "Good morning, sir." And we start that show. I would love to just rewind 5 years and do it again. I'd do it all over again. But that's not going to happen. So what we're doing, we're trying to put together a show, a format to keep Mr. Fuller's words and legacy alive, and to also let you know that Mr. Fuller said, don't follow the person, follow the logic. And that's what we're trying to do on this show. And if I ever say something that it sounds like I'm misquoting Mr. Fuller, if I forget to say this is my own take, let me give you a blanket statement. Everything I say on this show is my own opinion until I tell you otherwise. So let me just put that out here as a blanket statement. Good, Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Bobby. I see you over there with your hand up.
Justice.com. That's it.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week, okay? Counter Racist Joe with Mr. Fuller. We'll be back next week. Boo-boo-boo-boo.
What's on my mind? If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all